We aim to showcase our school's future-oriented vision for learning. In each episode, we're going to link up in thought partnership with our own students, our teachers, leading schools, movements, and educational leaders from around the world that inspire, invigorate, and inform our international school practice. My favourite emails, and I get a lot, are from a student or a group of students who want to present their ideas to the leadership team. I'm thrilled to make our first student-centred podcast about a group of students whose project will affect the lives of BFIS students for the better and will develop into a wider project that impacts the local community. As a university student, I volunteered for an after-school programme in an inner-city area that had a young population. 35% of residents were under 18 years old, and they were located in one of the poorest areas of the country, with more than 52% of residents living in poverty, 2/3 of families living in social housing. So I've seen the first-hand power that tutoring can have on the relationships and the connections and the self-esteem of young people. The students who you'll hear from in this episode are self-starters, they're altruistic, and they are detail-oriented. They've been ideating, empathizing, and prototyping, so refining their ideas in a true design cycle. I think they've created something that can be built on and that will work to help older students help younger students and will further strengthen the BFIS community. So, let me introduce the voices of three of our seniors. Students Yuval, Greg, and Miguel, as well as Scott Hemsey, our Global Citizenship Coordinator, and our Director of Development, Kyra Kellawan, who ask questions of them.
So welcome, all three of you, to the BFIS podcast. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
All right, I'm going to hand over to Mr. Hemsey, who's going to ask about the concept.
Hi everyone, my name is Scott Hemsey and I'm the Global Citizenship and Action Leader here at BFIS. And I'm curious to hear from the Yoututor team about the concept, where it came from and why you identified it as a need or fixing a need or dealing with a need here at the school.
So I think it came from, we were in 10th grade and we wanted to engage in tutoring with other students, but we realized that as IB students with not as much experience, it was very difficult to find a connection between a tutor and a student, and to find students that were wanted to get tutored by IB students. And so you would have to sign up to other platforms, which would require a lot of forms, and you would probably not get picked since you would have less experience than maybe other candidates. And so we just wanted to create a way for IB students to have a more user-friendly and easy access to tutoring, and which they could also use for their CAS service. And so other students could have free tutoring from people that have been through what they've been through.
Yeah, and I believe at least from my experience, something that was pretty integral and inspiring us to engage in this project was the fact that in many classes, at least from my experience, we've had teachers who were saying, we have a student and a lower grade than you guys, would any of you guys be up to tutor them for free? And although many students used to raise their hands and say I would love to take part in this, I feel like it never actually ended up happening just because there was too many discrepancies. So I believe we really wanted a platform where this could be something that we facilitate lessons in an easy way for students to engage with other students and have this beneficial relationship, and I think our platform is the place for that to happen.
Yeah, and just to add a bit more, many classmates would just ask us informally for help on, I guess, certain subjects, certain problems, whatever. And sometimes we were busy, for example, if some people called me and I was busy, I wouldn't be able to answer their calls, and it would just be harder to explain it to them over a short call or over text messages. So I guess this Yoututor helps do this in a much more organized way that can help both the person tutoring and the tutor.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that, how it actually works?
So, well, if there's a student or that's interested in tutoring or being tutored, they just have to type in the link Yoututor.online and they'll access our website. In the website, it's really user friendly. It's easy to navigate. They just have to fill out a form with questions regarding if he's a tutor, if he wants to be a tutor or she, questions regarding the classes they're willing to give lessons on, their scheduling, maybe other information that we might need from them. And that's kind of the same thing for the students. And once they submit the form, we get the information and we put it on a spreadsheet where we can see matches between tutors and students. and that like match their schedule, their classes, and that's mostly like how it works.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention the forms themselves are pretty extensive, so I'd say it takes, students about 5 minutes to 10 minutes to fill out. And the reason for that is because, as Miguel mentioned, we ask very, detailed questions about classes, scheduling, the method of tutoring, just so that we have, really good information to match people up with, the person that's most optimal for their needs. So although the forms are long, I think it's very useful if students answer in a detailed way, so that on our spreadsheet, behind the scenes, we can match people up based on needs. And then once that happens, we send out an email, before 24 hours prior to the session, so that we have details about the time, the class that's going to be taught, other details that are going to be needed by both the tutor and the student. And once we do that, they have their session, and we send them a feedback form at the end of it, so that we know some things that need to be improved, and go on from there.
Another like good thing about this process is that once the tutor gets in contact with the student, or the other way around, they don't really need to set meetings or establish meetings through us. We don't have to continue being intermediary, and they can just talk by themselves and establish meetings from after the first meeting, which was established by us. They can decide whether or not they want to continue, because maybe a student really likes how his tutor explains it, and they want to keep going by themselves, and so they don't have to use us as an intermediary.
Yeah, so it seems like you've kept the process of matching tutor and tutee really human, because I guess you could have automated that somehow, right? And so what was your decision behind that, to keep it so that you can match individuals?
I mean, I feel like through a computer, they wouldn't have been able to actually match people's actual emotions, interests, and so on. And it can only be done really by a human. So we wanted to make the matches as accurate as possible, and we really believe in having strong matches, because the strong matches is what's gonna lead to people continually coming to us for tutoring. So yeah, we wanted to make it made it by us, the matching.
Yeah. So what kind of role models inspired you then during this project?
Beyond what we mentioned so far, I guess each of us had our own experiences with tutoring, which I guess sort of culminated us coming together and pursuing this project. I think for me, it's an interesting story, because I used to, one summer, the summer of my 10th grade year, I volunteered back in Kenya as a teaching assistant in a school of lesser socioeconomic status, and I was volunteering as the teaching assistant, and I really loved tutoring the students. I was able to not only see the impact it had on them, but also what it taught me. So coming back to Barcelona, tutoring was something I still wanted to do, and so I had a bit of tutoring that I did on my own, and I believe Miguel and Greg did too. And so when it came time to discuss about our CAS project, we sort of came together, and I believe we're pretty ambitious students, so we wanted to take the opportunity to do something big, and again take social impact. So we ended up talking and bringing all our experiences with tutoring together. We believe this platform was the best project to pursue.
Yeah, so at least in my experience, I didn't have one person that inspired me to do this. It was more than I saw that there was this issue in our community, and I realized it kind of had an easy solution to it. And yeah, once I realized that Greg and Yuval were feeling the same way, we decided that we should address this problem and create a project which conveniently could also be used for a CAS project. And yeah, so I guess that's kind of what inspired us. It wasn't more a person, but rather a situation.
Yeah, I mean, to agree with Miguel, I've always really been interested in tutoring and helping people learn things. It's very satisfying to me when someone is able to understand something after I explain it. So yeah, I really wanted to tutor people, and yeah, that's why I wanted to work with Miguel and Yuval for Yoututor.
Yeah, I'm interested in how that conversation came up. What was the moment?
Right. I think it was during one of our core, IB classes, where the advisor was starting to, discuss the CAS project. We've already begun CAS, but the CAS project was something that was started about, 1 or 2 months into the IB. So they proposed, the project, they discussed what the goals were, And as I mentioned, I guess, we're pretty ambitious. So when it came time to discussing groups, I guess I don't know how exactly it happened, but we got together and we started brainstorming, and, we discussed the issue that we identified in the school with, access to being able to tutor other students. And so I guess Yoututor came from there.
Yeah. I remember we were talking, I was talking with Greg and Yuval during our core class, and I was asking them like what they had in mind for the project. And I remember Greg told me about something in tutoring, which I had already thought about. And then Yuval said like he agreed with Greg because it's a project you have to do in groups. And so we realized that we could, design this project together and carry it out. And I think that's how it kind of like started. From there, we proposed a plan for our class coordinator, and she loved it. And so we started developing it. This was last year, but we had to like address a lot of issues that happened with the website and privacy policies. And that's why until now we haven't been able to really launch it.
Mm-hmm. But soon.
But you stuck with it.
Yeah.
And talking about starting your senior year with from a really strong position, you guys presented this to the leadership team here at BFIS, and they were absolutely blown away. They had known about the project. They had some kind of background knowledge about it, but they didn't know how much you had persevered through those challenges that you just mentioned. I'm curious about the things that you are taking from this experience from BFIS in your senior year onto wherever you are next. What would you say you've taken from your experiences here at BFIS, and what are your plans for after this year, after you graduate?
For me, the project itself has taught me a lot. I think one very big thing that was needed for this project was leadership and taking action, which I believe it's definitely sharpened those skills of mine. And I think one other thing is just tutoring itself. I just really enjoy it, like Greg mentioned, being able to teach something to someone else and for them to understand it and go from there. So I think I'd love to still engage in tutoring when I'm at university, just as something on the side, just because I truly enjoy it. And yeah, I think that the impact we had through this project just inspired me to in my university years have other projects would have a similar impact on society.
Mm-hmm. In my opinion, the hardest part in doing the project is starting the project, because like if it's an ambitious task, it's always difficult to start it. So in doing this project, it's making the difficulty in starting a project easier. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna be more capable and more willing to start more projects.
I also think like overall, it kind of gave us like this kind of entrepreneurial experience because like it was mostly just like seeing a problem in our community and creating and designing a solution for it. And then inside that, we kind of also learned a lot of like specific skills. Like we had to design the website, we had to kind of also think of a way to organize our data and organize it in an efficient way where we could later match tutors with students. We also learned about the privacy policies, like how we have to be careful with any potential legal issues that might come up with getting students' data. Also, specifically, it's like most of the users, if not all, are minors. Mm-hmm. And so I think it kind of gave us like these like set of skills, which are like a basic set of skills in my opinion. And if we are thinking about like, I don't know, participating in any entrepreneurial experiences in the future or launching other projects, then I think this is kind of like a kind of good experience to begin with. Because when we start that, we will have like some experience. We'll know how it works. We'll know how much perseverance you need. And yeah, I think that was pretty useful in that sense.
Yeah, perseverance is useful. It's a useful skill for sure.
Outside of Yoututor, what are your plans for next year?
So I have my plans to take a gap year. It's kind of like a controversial topic since people think that gap years can be a waste of time, but I think
I don't.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you use your like time wisely during the gap year, you can really like make it like one of the best years of your life. During that year, I plan on getting my pilot's license, my airplane pilot's license, my drone pilot's license, my boat license, and my car license. I also plan on you're
gonna be going places.
Yeah. I also plan on taking a tour, a ski tour, like touring around like northern Europe, and also participating like an internship in if I can, a Web3 company since it's my interest.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I'm aiming on entering, well, of course, university. I don't know which one yet since we haven't gotten like any news yet.
Yeah, I guess for me, I'm not really, I don't know, I feel like gap years are enough for me. I want to make sure I get, things done as soon as possible. So for my plans, I'm applying to university right now. Still haven't heard back from any university, so I don't really know exactly where I'll end up next year, but hopefully in one of my top choices, and I'll be happy with starting university in a new country.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, I'm in the same position as Yuval. Yeah.
Wait and see.
Exactly.
We're actually applying to some of the same colleges since our focus is mainly US colleges.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, obviously, a project like this, it has a social function. You've talked about how it came from a need, but it's also coming from a place that makes you feel good doing it, right?
Mm.
And so much of that is embedded into businesses that are doing really well within later generations, that they have a social purpose or a social impact, or they increase kind of human connection in some way, right? So we're curious, is there anything else that you, thinking back over your time at BFIS, either wish you could have had more of an opportunity to do, or maybe there's another experience you've had which is built on those feelings of making the world just a little bit better, or leaving things a little bit better than you found them? You're definitely leaving a great project behind for other students to take forward. Is there anything else that you feel you've been involved with at BFIS that gave you that same feeling, or that you wish you could have done more of?
Well, we're like, us three were part of the executive team of the National Honor Society here at BFIS.
Uh-huh.
I think that's one of the experiences we share in common, apart from Yoututor, which is also aimed at so as like this like charitable objective,
Mm-hmm.
But I guess like if there's something I could have done at my time at BFIS was probably start this project sooner, because now we're about to graduate like in 6 months or less even, and we're not gonna really see it like take off. Maybe like we're gonna have to like give it to like right now a junior
Mm-hmm.
to keep it going. And so I think it's like something I would have liked to do, maybe like started at the beginning of 10th grade rather than 11th grade.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're always welcome back. You know that, right? And you can always come in and check on
Yeah.
your project as alums. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess for me, well, in terms of other projects I've done in my time at BFS, I think I've had a good experience and a lot of projects that were to do with sort of social impact. I was able to be part of the team that hosted the economics competition here in Barcelona,
Mm.
and along with Greg, we were part of the executive team that hosted the Barcelona math competition, which took place in BFIS. So I've had a good amount of experiences that I believe were super valuable.
Mm.
But if there was something that I wish I could have done, I think is drawing back from my experience of volunteering in less developed countries like Kenya. I think one experience that I believe almost every student should have is a similar experience of volunteering for another community that's not yours in a less developed country. So if I was able to go restart high school, I think one project I'd start working on early on is sort of a project where I could take a bunch of students to another country which is less developed and have a week or two to volunteer there, which I believe Mr. Hemsey is doing now. So that's nice to see.
Yeah, and just to add on, I really agree with what Miguel was saying about starting earlier, because many of these projects, also the math competition that Yuval was talking about, many of these events, annual events, or just projects that we have, we really won't see them grow because we're not going to be here anymore. And I guess that's sad, especially since we don't know what's going to happen next. So
Yeah.
we can hope that they continue to grow. We would try and make them grow. But yeah.
Yeah.
We also had this idea for like kind of a Yoututor version, but for more like underprivileged like schools, like more public schools that maybe didn't have the
Facilities.
facilities like or the access to tutoring. But this idea we thought about it like more or less like during the ends of last year, and now that we have like college applications, IAs, internal assessments and all, we don't really have like that much time, but we're hoping that maybe the group that takes on Yoututor after us might consider it, because I think it's a pretty cool project to take on, and I think it's going to have an even more beneficial impact.
Yeah, I mean, I see your roles as being able to, from afar, kind of be almost like non-executive directors or something. I mean, you have a place on the board of this organization, right? Yeah, you're the founder, so you have a voice. And I think you could say
let's not go that far.
To whoever takes it forward, hey, these are the mission and vision and values of Yoututor. So we'd love to be involved. We'd love to hear how it progresses.
Yeah, I think
Stay involved.
while we really value being able to connect students here in BFIS, foster both academic growth and collaboration in the community and supporting each other, the students in BFIS. I think apart from that, one other vision we had for Yoututor when starting it was being able to expand it throughout Barcelona, as Miguel mentioned, to less socioeconomic, developed places in Barcelona. So we're definitely going to mention it to the future executive team, and hopefully that vision could be achieved after it's already super established here in BFIS.
I really appreciate the advice about as the CAS coordinator, starting projects early and kind of getting your heads around everything as soon as you can. In that vein, with students in the 11th grade and the 10th grade who are kind of coming through this program, what advice would you have for them specifically about getting a project such as this, take action for impact kind of project? We've used the words, social impact quite a bit during this podcast episode. Those students who are thinking about taking on this big, challenging project that requires a lot of collaboration, a lot of social skills, a lot of problem solving, what advice would you give them specifically, aside from just starting sooner?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, we ran through a lot of problems, and I guess we were a bit naive to expect that it was going to go smoothly and that we were going to get it done so fast. Like, we finished the website very early on, and our thought was that we were going to be able to publish it instantly. But there were so many aspects that we didn't think of. So yeah, an advice that I would give is to make sure that you know all the little details that you will need to know, because it's just gonna delay your the process more and more.
I feel like also taking on a project, like a greater project than what's required, can be beneficial, because you're gonna learn a lot of skills, as we did with Yoututor. You're also gonna have a beneficial impact on your community, which can be very rewarding, and you even have the chance to kind of brag about it to universities. So I feel like students that are trying to create a project right now, I think that they should go put in as much effort as they can, because there's only benefits. It's gonna take some of your time, but it's gonna be more than worth it. Also, adding on to what Greg said, I think kind of us being naive was definitely helpful, because if we knew all of the obstacles we were gonna have, we might have not been as motivated as we are and as we were. And so I think if you're a student in 11th grade or 10th grade and thinking about your project, unless it's a very, very, very complicated to take on, don't focus on anything that can go bad. Just realize what you can achieve with that and just go for it.
I think, in my opinion, it's similar to what Miguel said in the start, where I think people usually see CAS as a pass or fail, and you just do the minimum to get through it. But I think from our experience, it's definitely been beneficial to not look at CAS as an assignment, and just take the advantage that you're given through CAS, and to engage in a project that's has a lot of impact on our community or other communities. So I think one thing is, a piece of advice is, be ambitious, have a vision, and go from there. I think it's important to think big. I guess one other piece of advice would be, even if you face obstacles like we did, to persevere through them. You have a lot of help. Mr. Hemsey's here to supervise you through this. So I think don't see obstacles as something that will hinder your project or make you not able to launch it, but persevere through them and grow from the obstacles that you're faced with. And I think that the project itself will be beneficial not only to you but to society itself. And
we didn't even pay you all to say that.
Yeah, really.
Amazing. I can't wait to work with you three as alums. You're a credit to the school, and I think you're going to inspire a lot of other folks for further down in the school in different year groups. But just coming back to what you said, Yuval, I love the fact that you said, just don't treat it as a pass or a fail. Treat it as an opportunity to already do something that's interesting to you, which I think is totally the spirit of CAS. And I'm glad that you felt inspired by the school in that way, or that you received that message, because that is the message that the IB want. We love the culture of students moving to action here on our doorstep. And so there are lots of existing examples like the ones we've heard today on our campus. And over the coming months, we want to have more student voice on this podcast. It's absolutely crucial to us that we share more about what you're all doing and the impact it's having. So again, pass us any other ideas of other students who are doing stuff like this. But thank you for being part of this global community that has this impact in a small way that's only going to get bigger. And good luck to the three of you as you move forward.
Thank you.
Scott Hemsey, our Global Citizenship Coordinator, and our Director of Development, Kyra Kellawan, are involved in elevating student voice and capturing and using their stories to elevate the experiences of other students and cultivating the collaboration of parents. Kyra has made a connection with our senior students in particular, so that as alumni, she and Scott can support them to continue to contribute to our school, see their ideas become legacy, and to see the deepening of their ideas as alumni. The philosophy of the IB is that local citizenship is enacted through service and action, and is a powerful pathway to personal growth and character development. We aspire to develop our students as positive and ethical change agents by nurturing a spirit of entrepreneurship founded in social responsibility in order to make the world a better place. There are 4 strands that are embedded in this area for us: global mindedness, social entrepreneurship, service learning, and environmental sustainability. And Catherine Buchanan and Anna Bardi, in their article Acts of Kindness and Acts of Novelty Affect Life Satisfaction in the Journal of Social Psychology, argue that we should believe in the fundamental principle that engagement in global citizenship leads to a happier community of learners, and that kindness makes you happier and happiness makes you kind. As these 3 young men go out into the world and leave a detailed project that is ready to overcome many practical challenges that thwart the launch of entrepreneurial ideas, I, for one, am looking forward to seeing their ideas flourish and grow on our campus long after they graduate, and to welcoming them back to see how others have stood on their shoulders.